British celebs we lost in 2025, a year that's taken some of our most beloved entertainers, sporting heroes and cultural icons from us. From the Prince of Darkness himself to comedy legends who kept us laughing through decades, these losses have left an irreplaceable void in British culture. But here's something most people don't realise. Many of these icons were still creating, still performing, still touching lives right up until their final days. This isn't just a list of famous names, it's a celebration of lives that shaped British entertainment, sport and culture in ways that will echo for generations. John Michael Ozzy Osbourne, the dyslexic lad from Aston who left school at 15 and went to prison for burglary, somehow became heavy metal's godfather. He passed peacefully at his Buckinghamshire home on July 22nd, surrounded by Sharon and family who'd supported him through decades of mayhem. His final performance was 17 days before death, the Back to the Beginning concert at Villa Park. Despite Parkinson's forcing him to perform seated on a black throne, 40,000 fans watched live and 6 million online. Every penny went to charity, the Cure Parkinson's Trust, Birmingham Children's Hospital and Acorn Children's Hospice. Official cause, cardiac arrest with coronary artery disease and Parkinson's complications. After biting bat heads thinking they were rubber, snorting ants with Mötley Crüe, and once attempting to strangle Sharon during a drug-fueled blackout, making 76 was miraculous. Yet Sharon stood by him 40 years. A die-hard Aston Villa fan, the club calling him a villain meant more than any Grammy. Before Black Sabbath changed music in 1968, he worked slaughterhouses and tuned car horns. His burglary career ended with 6 weeks in Winson Green when Dad refused to pay the fine. That stint, he said, was his wake-up call. Subscribe now. Incredible stories of comedy geniuses and sporting heroes coming up. Prunella Scales died peacefully at her London home on October 27th, watching Fawlty Towers the day before. Fitting for the woman who made Sybil Fawlty television immortality. Her sons Samuel and Joseph West said dementia had forced retirement from 70 years of acting, but she remained at home, surrounded by love until the end. Born Prunella Illingworth in 1932, she adopted her mother's maiden name professionally. John Cleese, whose 86th birthday coincided with her death, called her absolutely perfect in every scene. But she wasn't just Sybil, she played Queen Elizabeth II in Alan Bennett's A Question of Attribution, becoming the first actress to portray a reigning monarch on the British stage, causing controversy at the newly Royal National Theatre. Her marriage to Timothy West lasted 61 years until his death in November 2024. Together they hosted Great Canal Journeys, openly discussing her vascular dementia diagnosis from 2013. The show was praised for honest depiction of memory loss while celebrating enduring love. What's rarely mentioned, she turned down Oxbridge to pursue acting, saying she could play people infinitely more intelligent than anything I can think of myself. Tony Slattery's death from a heart attack at 65 devastated the comedy world. For those who grew up watching Whose Line Is It Anyway? Tony was comedy gold, quick-witted, risque, and absolutely fearless. As Cambridge Footlights president, he gave Stephen Fry his first major role. Fry later called him the funniest man of his generation. His film work included The Crying Game and Peter's Friends with his Cambridge crowd, including Emma Thompson and Hugh Laurie. But mental health struggles and addiction derailed what should have been a stratospheric career. Tony was refreshingly honest about his bipolar disorder and the financial ruin following his mid-90s breakdown. He lost everything: his Jaguar, his massive house, the lot. Yet he kept performing, touring small theatres even in 2024, doing stand-up, meeting fans. Partner Mark Michael Hutchinson stood by him nearly 40 years through Edinburgh Festival triumphs and psychiatric ward lows. Tony's biggest regret was the decade lost to cocaine and alcohol, but his comeback inspired countless others battling demons. His last performance was weeks before death, still making strangers laugh in a London pub. Patrick Murray's Mickey Pearce was never meant to be major in Only Fools and Horses. just Del Boy's dodgy mate with leather jackets and dubious schemes. But Murray made Mickey so memorable that John Sullivan kept writing him back, appearing in 20 episodes between 1983 and 2003. What's shocking is Patrick gave up acting in 2017 to become a taxi driver. The Home Office wouldn't let his Thai wife, Anong, and daughter enter Britain because he didn't meet income requirements. This beloved actor who'd made millions laugh was doing 12-hour shifts around Kent to prove he could support his family. They finally got visas after years of bureaucratic struggle. His 2021 lung cancer diagnosis started a 4-year battle fought with incredible humour. Even when cancer spread to his liver, pelvis and legs, he attended fan conventions, cracking jokes about Del Boy falling through the bar. He said the BBC probably wouldn't show that scene now. 2 men on the pull wouldn't fly today. Patrick died peacefully at home in Rochester. The irony wasn't lost. Mickey Pearce, always chasing get-rich-quick schemes, played by a man who gave up fame to drive cabs for family. Joan Plowright's death at 95 ended British theatre's golden age link. Lady Olivier, as she became after marrying Laurence Olivier in 1961, never let her husband's massive shadow diminish her brilliant light. She won the 1961 Tony Award for A Taste of Honey, playing a pregnant teenager when already in her 30s. That same year, she married Olivier after theatre's most scandalous affair while he was still married to Vivien Leigh, struggling with bipolar disorder. The press painted Joan as homewrecker. Insiders said she saved Olivier from his demons. Her work spanned kitchen sink dramas to playing Mother Teresa, but younger audiences knew her as the stern housekeeper in 101 Dalmatians. She didn't care about typecasting in her 80s. Work was work, approaching Disney films with the same professionalism as Chekhov. Macular degeneration forced 2014 retirement, but she lived 11 more years recording audiobooks and mentoring at the National Theatre. She outlived Olivier by 36 years, never remarrying. One great love is enough for any lifetime. Her secret: she kept all Olivier's love letters but never published them, saying some things remained sacred. Rick Davies' Wurlitzer electric piano defined Supertramp's sound. Goodbye, stranger, bloody well right, give a little bit. That distinctive keyboard was all Rick. Born in working-class Swindon, his background contrasted sharply with songwriting partner Roger Hodgson's posh upbringing. That tension created magic. Breakfast in America sold 20 million copies, but by then Rick and Roger could barely stand each other. After Hodgson left in 1983, Rick kept Supertramp touring until 2012, when multiple myeloma forced him to stop. The cancer battle lasted over a decade. Controversially, Rick owned the Supertramp name and wouldn't let Hodgson use it, leading to bitter legal battles ending weeks before Rick's death. An August 2025 appeals court ruling kept the name Rick's. He won, but at what cost? Former bandmates hadn't spoken in years. He spent final years in East Hampton, occasionally playing with Ricky and the Rockets at the Stephen Talk House. Imagine finding the voice behind Breakfast in America playing to 20 people in a beach bar. That was Rick. Music for music's sake until the very end. Hit that notification bell. Sporting legends and more icon stories deserve to be heard. Denis Law's death from Alzheimer's marked the end of Scottish football's golden generation. The only Scottish player to win the Ballon d'Or, Law was Manchester United royalty, part of the Holy Trinity with Bobby Charlton and George Best. Born in Aberdeen, Law was so skinny that Aberdeen initially rejected him. He wore glasses, had a squint corrected by surgery, yet became football's most feared striker. His 237 goals in 404 United games included the spectacular and scrappy alike. Controversially, Law's most famous goal was for Manchester City, the back heel that relegated United in 1974. He didn't celebrate, he walked off the pitch in tears. 40 years later, he said it still haunted him, even though United would have gone down anyway. That's the burden of legend. One moment can define you forever. Diagnosed with mixed dementia in 2021, joining Charlton in that cruel fate, he lived quietly in a Manchester care home. Family said he sometimes thought he was still playing, asking nurses about Saturday's team selection. The king of Stretford End died believing he'd failed them with that city goal. Harold Dickie Bird wasn't just an umpire but an institution. Standing in 66 Test matches and 3 World Cup finals, including 1975's inaugural, Dickie brought personality to a role meant to be invisible. The Barnsley lad's playing career was modest, 2 centuries in 93 first-class games. But as umpire, he was peerless. His 1996 final test saw both teams give him a guard of honour at Lord's. He burst into tears. Classic Dickie, emotional and authentic. After the 1975 World Cup final, a London bus conductor wore his stolen white hat. When Dickie asked where he got it, the conductor said, "Man, haven't you heard of Mr. Dickie Bird? I took it off his head at the World Cup final." Dickie asked for it back. The conductor replied, "Get your own. This one's mine now." His eccentricities were legendary, refusing play despite sunshine due to overnight rain. The crowd booed, but players later confirmed dangerous conditions. He lived alone forever in the same Barnsley house, never marrying. "I gave my life to cricket. That's my only regret." Yorkshire president from 2014. 2 championships followed. David Lodge's death on New Year's Day took Britain's sharpest academic satirist. Changing Places, Small World, Nice Work. He made campus novels bestsellers, proving professors could be hilarious. Born in South London, Catholic education shaped his worldview. He spent his entire career at Birmingham University writing novels between lectures. The irony wasn't lost, critiquing academia while embodying it perfectly. He called himself a hermaphrodite creature, half artist, half academic. His breakthrough, The British Museum is Falling Down, mocked Catholic birth control teachings. He had 6 children himself, joking he was researching the subject thoroughly. Later novels explored faith, doubt, and mortality with humour masking profound questions. What's forgotten? He adapted Nice Work for BBC, winning BAFTAS. He wrote perceptive criticism on everyone from Dickens to Amis. His autobiography revealed progressive hearing loss that increasingly isolated him, explaining his novel's obsession with miscommunication. He died peacefully, manuscript on desk, working until the end. Marianne Faithfull's death closed a chapter beginning with As Tears Go By in 1964, written for her by Jagger and Richards when she was 17. But she was far more than Mick's girlfriend, though that relationship haunted her for 60 years. Her 1979 album, Broken English, was better than anything the Stones did that decade. Written after years of heroin addiction and homelessness, her ravaged voice told stories the pop world wasn't ready for. She lived in a Soho squat, shooting up in St Anne's churchyard, yet somehow survived when many didn't. Her aristocratic background, great-great-uncle Leopold von Sacher-Masoch, gave masochism its name. Mother Baroness Eva Erisso survived Nazi camps. Mixed with 60s rebellion, created something unique. That European sophistication met British rock and roll perfectly. She acted with Orson Welles, inspired songs from Metallica to Nick Cave, never apologising for wild years. In 2020, COVID nearly killed her, but she survived, recording a final album from her hospital bed. She died in London, the city that made and nearly destroyed her. Her last words reportedly, "I did it my way. Not Frank's way, my way." Mike Peters of The Alarm died from chronic lymphocytic leukemia at 66, but not before staging one last Love, Hope, Strength concert from his hospital bed. The Welsh rocker who gave us 68 guns turned his cancer battle into a crusade. From press to 10, Peters formed The Alarm in 1981, bringing punk passion to stadium rock. They were called U2's younger brothers, which he hated, though Bono became a close friend. The band split in 1991, but Peters never stopped creating. His 2004 cancer diagnosis transformed him. He founded Love, Hope, Strength, organising concerts on mountains at Everest Base Camp inside cancer wards. He recruited potential bone marrow donors at gigs. Over 250,000 joined the register. Some found matches, lives were saved. Controversially, he once released an Alarm single under fake band name The Poppy Fields, to prove ageism in music. It charted. When revealed, radio stations dropped it immediately. Point made brilliantly. His final Facebook post days before death. Still fighting, still singing, still believing in love, hope and strength. Clodagh Rodgers' death took Northern Ireland's first Eurovision star. Jack in the Box came fourth in 1971, but she was far more than a one-hit wonder from County Armagh. She started singing at 7. By 1962, she was on Thank Your Lucky Stars. Her breakthrough Come Back and Shake Me went top 5 in 1969. Kenny Young wrote it specifically for her voice. Breathy, intimate, irresistible. She represented Britain at Eurovision when the Troubles peaked. Death threats arrived, a Catholic Northern Irish woman singing for Britain. She performed anyway, sequined dress hiding a bulletproof vest underneath. She never mentioned it publicly until 2020. Her marriage to John Morris lasted 53 years. They ran a successful management company, discovering several acts. But her own recording career ended abruptly in 1975. She later revealed a stalker made performing terrifying. She chose family over fame, raised 2 children, no regrets. Her death at 78 was peaceful, at home in London, Eurovision performances, playing on television. Jean Marsh created and starred in Upstairs, Downstairs, dying from dementia complications. She won an Emmy in 1975 for Rose Buck, the housemaid she co-created, proving working-class characters deserved centre stage. Born to a theatrical dresser and printer, she started as chorus girl but had bigger ambitions. With friend Eileen Atkins, she created Upstairs, Downstairs, tired of playing storyless maids. 5 series changed how television portrayed class forever. Films included Queen Catherine Parr in 6 Wives of Henry VIII and evil Bav Morda in Willow. She created The House of Elliot, about sisters in fashion. Women in men's worlds fascinated her. Never married, work was her true love. Her 50s engagement to John Pertwee never led to marriage, but friendship endured. She appeared in early Doctor Who episodes, maintaining that connection. What's rarely known, she ghost-wrote several novels under pseudonyms, refusing credit. She gave servants voices and proved character actors could become creators. Alan Yentob's death ended 50 years of BBC cultural programming. As BBC One controller, creative director and Imagine presenter, he shaped British arts television. But the Kids Company scandal tarnished his final years irreparably. Born in Manchester to Iraqi Jewish parents, he joined BBC in 1968. His omnibus documentaries on Bowie, Bacon and Dali defined arts programming. He championed difficult work when ratings ruled everything. Arena and Imagine were his babies. But as Kids Company chairman, he failed spectacularly. The charity collapsed in 2015 amid financial chaos. Yentob was accused of bullying BBC journalists investigating the scandal. He resigned from BBC, reputation shattered. Parliamentary committees savaged him publicly. Yet his legacy remains complex. He gave platforms to countless artists. His Cracked Actor Bowie documentary changed music television forever. He fought for arts funding consistently. Personal friends included everyone from Judi Dench to Jeremy Paxman. His death from undisclosed causes prompted mixed tributes. Norman Tebbit's death at 94 closed a political chapter. Thatcher's enforcer, who told unemployed to get on your bike, survived the Brighton bombing that paralysed wife Margaret. 40 years as devoted carer transformed the hard man. The 1984 IRA bomb should have killed him. Pulled from rubble hours later, Margaret never walked again. He chose care over revenge, a complexity critics never acknowledged. His cricket test about immigrant loyalty was called racist. He maintained it concerned integration, never apologised for anything. Supporting assisted dying after watching Margaret suffer 40 years horrified his party. Working-class background, father unemployed in 30s, drove his politics. Became pilot, union negotiator, then MP. Upwardly mobile autobiography showed determination's power. Devoted to Margaret until her 2020 death, everything was for her. Love conquered even politics. From Ozzy's throne to Dickie's Barnsley home, 2025 took the full spectrum. Working-class conquerors, aristocrats choosing art, athletes carrying demons with dignity. They battled illness, performed until they couldn't, refused to go gentle. Not just celebrities, but soundtracks to our lives. Britain's less colourful without them, but what colours they added. Subscribe, share, keep memories alive. Rock and roll never dies. God save the Queen. Rest these legends.